is Shannon here with Chris Kirkpatrick for Put Me in the Picture Promotions. First of all, for people who don't know you, introduce yourself.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Chris. Can you audio a handshake? Hey, audio handshake.
Just say audio handshake.
Audio handshake. How are you?
Perfect. Okay,
Give me some knuckles. Pound it out. Blow it up. No?
Yes.
Fast.
Do you want to
Pound it, blow it, and then suck it back in.
What inspired you to start the Chris Kirkpatrick Foundation?
Well, actually, because we've done a lot of the Challenge for the Children stuff, and we've worked a lot with children's organizations, from children's hospitals, children's cancer, children's burn victims, all those things. And I was like, well, I grew up really poor, like the welfare and all that stuff. And I was like, I want to do something with my foundation that makes sense to me. Like, it makes, I know where it's coming from. So when we do stuff for underprivileged kids, I know how to talk to these kids. I know what they're going through, and I know how to handle them without exploiting them and saying, oh, look, because when we were poor, we didn't want people to know we were poor. It was like, it sucked to be poor.
Right.
Nobody wants to go, hey, guess what, I'm poor. That really is embarrassing, and it sucks. So we try to do everything we can to find underprivileged kids and give them in the right venues, ways of feeling like normal kids for a day, a week, a month, whatever, any way we can. And we've done that with, for the last couple of years, we've done a Halloween function where we get a lot of kids Halloween costumes and build a haunted house for them and, take them through all that stuff. But now we're starting to work with more families, that have a lot of kids and help them out and put them on the right path and say, it's easy for me to mentor when I've already been there and said, I've been through this, trust me, as crazy as it seems, as bad as it seems, it will get better. All you have to do is keep a positive attitude, get the right people around the family, showing them the ins and outs of what they're doing wrong or how they can get out, or what organizations they can contact to help them get out of the situation they're in. And I know when we were growing up, when we were poor, if somebody was sat with my mom or somebody and said, hey, this is what you need to do, this is where you're going wrong, this is what you're spending your money on, you've got grants for this and things for that, that would have helped out a lot. So that's really what we're trying to do, and mentoring. I think that's the biggest thing.
If someone were interested in getting involved with your foundation, how would they go about that?
Well, basically they'd contact Melinda on the website, or if you just run into Melinda like now, you can contact her and say, how do we get involved? And we always, we could always use volunteers. The more volunteers, the better, because when people get involved, it's easy for us to help them out and say, look, tonight we're going to do a special event where we have all these kids coming in, and a lot of the underprivileged kids and people like that, a lot of them are single parent homes and things like that, and all they need is an adult or somebody to look to them and give them attention, or pay attention to them for a minute, because usually if they're single parent, their mom or dad is always working. So if they could have an adult around that says, look, this is the way it should be, this is what's right, this is what's wrong, this is what I did, this is how you cope with this, a lot of them, that's all they need. Even just to say, hey, let's play a game together. I know, growing up, if I would have just had a guy say, hey, let me come to your football game, that would have meant the world to me. So I guess really, as long as all the volunteers help with the mentoring part of it, and just be there with the kids, that's the most important part to us.
How did you get involved with the Medicus Foundation and the Unlock the Box Tour charity events?
Well, that was through Tracy. Melinda's cousins with Tracy, and she came down, and we were always talking about it, and last year she said she was putting on a golf tournament. So I was like, of course, I'd love to come up and support, because I do a lot of charity golf tournaments, things like that.
Right.
And then just hanging out with Tracy and talking with her, she's really, really good. Like, she is an earnest, big-hearted person. She's not somebody that does it so everybody in the community looks at her and goes, oh, she must be a good person. She truly means what she does, and I mean, that's evident in last night. She had this kid give her $5, his last $5 for her foundation, and he had diabetes, and that meant the world to her, because there were people coming by with all this money and nobody was giving, because they were just like, oh, I can't drink if I don't have this money.
Right.
But this one kid gave his last $5, so she started this program, where he was the first recipient of the award, saying that he gave everything he had. It meant so much more to him to do something like that And that just goes to show you what type of person she is. Like she's a really good-hearted person, and all this stuff that she does isn't for promotion. It isn't for anything else other than to give back. And she's got these shirts walking around here that are like, you know, what do the shirts say? Like I give back, or you know, I was inspired to give back. That's what she says.
So what can people expect to see when they attend one of your events that you put on?
Well, basically me, you know, I have an unusual personality. I like to have fun, and it's fun for me to inspire other people to not only have fun, but you know, like golf events, like these things. It's like all these people come out, and sure, they have a great time golfing, but it's all for a good cause. So it's like, why not do things where not only are you having a great time, but you give back at the same time? And that's what, you know, our big thing is. Like, we like to give back and try to make everybody that gives money, like, if they would have just paid to have this good time, it's one thing, but now they're paying a great cause. You know, they're helping kids out, they're helping, you know, people get out of the circumstances they are, and you know, they're playing golf. I mean, this isn't a rough life, you know.
Right. They're hanging out.
Right.
So, what is the most gratifying part of this for you?
The most gratifying part to me is when we did a couple of our events, seeing the kids, you know, and watching the kids' faces and knowing that I used to be there, and I was one of those kids, and watching their expression go from, you know, man, my life's tough, this is crazy, to, wow, I'm just a regular kid, you know, just like everybody else. This means the world to me, and that's what, you know, that's why I like to do it. That's why, you know, even all the years with NSYNC and all the stuff we ever did, watching these kids just feel normal for a minute, it makes it all worth it.
You've helped out a lot of people with your foundation. Do you have any one story that really stands out to you?
There was a last Halloween, we did an event, and there was this kid there, and he reminded me a lot of me. He was just this little kid. He had like a mullet, you know, didn't have a strong family, you know, upbringing. And we walked him through this haunted house, and we gave them all this candy, and so they could take as much candy as they want. He had this bag of candy, and everybody was playing games. But this kid had this candy, and he wouldn't let go of it, because you could tell like that was something that meant the world to him. Right. And I walked over to him. I was like, "Listen, man, why don't you go down there and have fun? Let me hold your candy. I don't need it. Trust me, I'm hyper. If I have this, I'll just get in trouble." I was like, "I'm not gonna eat your candy. I'll hold it for him." And while he was down there playing, and he's with the other kids, he kept looking up at me like, "Oh my God, does he still have it? Is everything cool?" You know, so things like that you know you've affected people, and you know that you've changed their lives, and said, you know, especially for Halloween, like my biggest thing was, everybody helps out at Thanksgiving and Christmas because that's what the holiday's there for. Right. A lot of people don't think about Halloween. You think about, what am I going to be? Who am I going to dress up as? Or the rest of the year. So, you know, for us to do a Halloween thing, you know, we buy kids costumes, and for a day those kids can pretend like they're Iron Man or Spider-Man, you know, whoever. And they just get out of their day-to-day, and it helps them, you know, it's kind of a release for them. So that was a big deal to me. I've always loved Halloween. And to help those kids out feel normal, that's like a bonus.
With regards to your foundation, what would you like to accomplish in the long run?
In the long run, we're talking a lot of mentoring programs, like camps, you know, things that we can take kids out of their everyday and have counselors and people around them that say, you know, it's not just you. You know, this happens to a lot of kids. It's all circumstance. It's all, you know, a roll of the dice, where you grow up. You know, it's not your fault. You know, you being poor or you being in the situation you are is not your fault. It'll get better. You know, and that's what I like to say to them. I'm like, listen, man, I really thought, like, you know, that was it for me. I was depressed. I was so miserable. But, you know, the right timing, the right people believing in you, you know, and it doesn't matter whether you're an artist, whether you want to be an architect, whatever you want to be, you know, it's giving everybody the opportunity, not just looking at the little rich kids and going, well, they've got a Harvard degree. You know, it's looking at the people that really have the ability or really have the chance to make it, and giving them the opportunity, because, you know, that's almost to me like what the internet and all this stuff is doing now. It's giving a lot of kids who normally wouldn't have that chance.